It is no exaggeration to say that these 4 referendums were historic. This is a pivotal moment in history, and such moments pick up many names: referendum, annexation, reunion.
Vladimir Putin is once again violating international law with his threats to annex more of Ukraine. We will not hesitate to take further action, including imposing more sanctions to cripple Putin's war machine.
The United States, together with our allies and partners, are announcing new sanctions today to impose costs on individuals and entities that provide political or economic support to illegal attempts to change the status of Ukrainian territory. And I look forward to signing legislation from Congress that will provide an additional $12 billion to support Ukraine.
Putin has mobilized hundreds of thousands of more troops, engaged in irresponsible nuclear saber rattling, and now illegally annexed more Ukrainian territory.
Overnight, the Russian Federation welcomed 6 million citizens and 4 vast regions by the will of the people. The will of the people and the right of self-determination are alien to NATO. An entire continent, Europe, has sacrificed its economic prosperity and future for America's holy war in Ukraine. Who in Europe voted for this? Who voted for her?
The sham referenda, organized in the territories that Russia occupied, are an illegal attempt to grab land and to change international borders by force.
The sham referendums were engineered in Moscow and imposed on Ukraine in total violation of international law.
I say it with a certain gravity, at a time where Russia is renewing its aggressive rhetoric, at a time where it organizes sham referendums which sign its status of a pariah state.
All of this rhetoric, of course, only applies to Russia. When a referendum is good for NATO, it is righteous. When it isn't, it's a sham. Kosovo. NATO states invade a sovereign state, redraw the borders and stage a referendum. Just and fair, they called it, because they did it. Inside the EU, meanwhile, Barcelona's peaceful attempts at a referendum and freedom are brutally suppressed. Activists jailed and persecuted, and everyone pretends to see nothing. Where did all these rules and rights go?
It is ridiculous to hear about the redrawing of borders from across the ocean, after the NATO bombing of Yugoslavia, after supporting the redrawing of Serbia with their planes, with the independence of Kosovo.
This is not a conflict between Russia and Ukraine. How can it be when the entire Ukrainian military is paid for, trained, supplied, armed and directed by NATO? This would have been decided if it had just been Russia and Ukraine. Instead, this is a silent war between Russia and the West, and its only point, this continued bloodshed and violence, is to cement NATO's right to be the only power on the planet that gets to redraw maps and stage referendums. They call this right, in the most abstract way, rules.
Strategic security agreements fly into the trash. All we hear is that the West defends an order based on rules. Where did these rules come from? Who's ever seen these rules? Solid deception, double or already triple standards. It's easy to count on fools. Russia is a 1,000-year-old civilization, and it will not live by such false rules. The West uses suppression, exploitation and enslavement instead of democracy. The unipolar world it has built is anti-democratic, deceitful and hypocritical through and through.
For Russia, enough is enough. This, apparently, is what NATO cannot accept. Disobedience, revolt, equality. They believe that they are better than the rest of the world, superior, even exceptional. So say the rules that no one has ever seen. Murad Gazdiev, RT, from Kherson, Russia.